It's DEW Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this DEW Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in Him. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day, and we talked about the invention of this suicide pod that this 64-year-old woman in Switzerland used to end her life. So you get in, you press the button. They said she pressed the button almost immediately, and the button emits nitrogen gas. It puts you to sleep, and then you are gone for good. Now, they say quickly as she pushed that button, that meant that she was really, really ready to die. Well, here's the new news. The new news is it's a suicide pod for couples. Yes, they have now extended and expanded this thing where two people can be in the pod, but you must press the button at the same time. So if one pressed the button at 8:01 and one pressed the button at 8:01:30, it won't work, and then the whole idea is officially trashed. Well, who are we to decide when we should die? You know, now you have expanded this thing to couples, where couples are deciding that, you know what, let's go together. And we've heard of these suicide missions. We've heard of these things. But, you know, it is so dangerous to put something out there now, because, you know, we are always doing stories here about people who want to go together, or they want their families to go together. Yes. And why? Why would we do that? Well, we know that the enemy is very crafty, and he is responsible for just kind of lulling us into this death mode. Yeah, when you feel like your life is not worth anything, where you feel like you have nothing else to live for. You know, you might be elderly. A lot of elderly people, they want to go because they don't want to put that pressure on their family. They feel like their family should be able to live, and they're just a weight and a bother. And we want to know why we need Jesus. You know, we have so much to offer until the day God closes our eyes for good. And when we have decided that we don't want to live anymore, and we don't have anything else to offer, that's only us. God says you have been fearfully and wonderfully made. You have been made on purpose, with the purpose. You know, God says, I knew you before I even shaped you in your mother's womb. I called your name. So before your mother and father even attempted, or the oops even happened, God already knew that you were going to be here. And there's a plan. There is a plan right now. So even if you don't know your purpose, there is a plan that is in place right now, and that plan began well before you even got here. Oh, can you imagine a God that loves us so much that he would keep that plan in place until he was ready? So please don't let the enemy lull you into becoming the walking dead, where you feel you have no reason to live, where you feel like, you know, this world would be better off without me. And, you know, many millions of people have felt that way. And how many of us have now given our lives to God? And now we look back on that moment and we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Again, back in 2023, I saw the date. Back in 2023, we had a young man on the broadcast, my Sunday prayer night, who had tried to commit suicide 13 times. And I mean, he tried to shoot himself in the head. He tried to hang himself. He tried to swallow pills 13 times. Sometimes he even tried the same method twice. And he was on the show. So what did that mean? That meant that God said, no, I had a reason for you to be here. And I have not given up on that reason. So let God continue to do his perfect work in us and give our lives to him. And then we will find our purpose, if nothing more than to help save someone else's life. Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough? Well, it's enough for God that you would be out here bringing and drawing souls to him. All right. Well, that's how we spent our Tuesday. Well, today is Wow Wednesday, everybody. Yes, we've made it through into the middle of the week, and we're giving God thanks today. Well, we're going to get this party started, so our girl Vivian can give us some of this socially conscious she got up in her today. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's due time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Products that are marketed specifically to Black girls contain some of the worst ingredients I have ever seen, and I think it should be outlawed. Like you said, the fragrances, the endocrine disruptors, these harsh detergents, some formaldehyde releasers. Formaldehyde's a human carcinogen. What place does it have in a beauty and personal care product? It doesn't. It needs to be removed. There needs to be better regulations and better protection for vulnerable populations.
I was doing some research and I looked at Harvard Health, and it said 50% of products advertised to Black women contain endocrine disruptors, which are those disruptors that are going to impact their hormones, increase their chance of things like cancer, infertility, etc., compared to roughly 7% that are advertised to white women. And these endocrine disruptors can impact fertility and increase their chance of getting cancer.
These products
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it is Wow Wednesday, everybody. Oh, yes. Well, let's not belabor this point any longer. We got our girlfriend Viv hanging out in the wings. So let's say good morning to our girl Vivian and her socially conscious segment. Good morning, Viv.
Good morning. Happy Wow Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
All right, that's good. What you got for us today?
All right, today on Socially Conscious, we are starting off with an update on the nurses' strike. So we heard from Pastor Steph last week or this week that they were trying to get the nurses to come back by threatening their health care coverage. Well, now they are saying that is no longer happening. That is no longer an issue. Hospitals told nurses that they would have to return to work by February 1st to keep their health insurance, putting heavy pressure on them to end the strike. But nurses pushed back, saying using healthcare as leverage during a labor dispute was unsafe and unfair. So they went into a mediation, and thankfully Mount Sinai and New York Presbyterian agreed to remove healthcare insurance pressure as a tactic to get the nurses to go back to work, allowing nurses to stay on strike without losing their coverage. The agreement is limited but strategic. Nurses keep their current health plans premiums and access to care while negotiations continue, and a joint committee will review long-term benefit costs. So they're saying no benefits are being cut right now, and the strike is still ongoing with no new return to work deadline. Union leaders say this allows nurses to keep fighting for safe staffing, fair pay, and workplace safety without risking their families and their own health in the process. So thank God for that. Next, we have New York City's Mayor Mamdani in the news because of a debate that's going on right now. They're saying that he took office promising to make the city more affordable. One of his first moves has been tightening rules on delivery apps and businesses' fees, saying the goal is to protect workers and stop companies from adding unfair and or hidden charges. But people are saying that these changes could have side effects. Small restaurants and bodegas warn that if their cost goes up to be on these apps, they may have to raise their prices. Delivery companies also say stricter rules could lead to higher fees for customers. That means while workers may benefit, everyday New Yorkers could end up paying more when they order food or use these delivery services. So the debate isn't about whether helping workers is important, it's about who pays at the end. So a lot of people are saying that you promise to make things more affordable, but they're not happy with his tactics, saying that at the end, we the people are still going to wind up paying more out of pocket to utilize these services. Next, we have federal cybersecurity experts are warning that millions of Americans' social security numbers may be at risk yet again after a major data breach involving a data broker called National Public Data. They say our names, addresses, and even our social security numbers were exposed during this data breach. They later found that this information was found on the dark web, raising, of course, serious concerns about identity theft. Criminals can use this information to open credit cards, take out loans, or even file tax returns using your social security number, creating long-term financial damage for victims. At the same time, whistleblowers have raised alarms about weak security around some government data systems tied to the Social Security Administration, saying personal information for up to 300 million Americans could be vulnerable if safeguards are not put in place properly or if they fail. While no confirmed breach has been reported on the government side, experts say the risk is real and concerning. So here's what they're telling people to do right now to make sure that your information is safe. They're saying you could check your credit reports regularly. Consider freezing your credit to block any and all unauthorized accounts. Avoid sharing your social security number unless absolutely necessary, and watch for suspicious bills, mail, or benefit notices. Experts say taking these steps early can help limit the damage if personal data is ever stolen and or misused. So if you didn't know, you can lock your social security number from being used. You might have to download an app, but it's definitely optional. And make sure that you're always keeping an eye out on your credit report, your bank statements, and pay attention to that mail that you think is coming in and it's just junk mail. Make sure you read it and keep notice of what's going on with your name and your information. And now we have our wow story of the week, which is a listener submitted story. So as news have been surfacing about ICE agents on a rampage, we have today's wow story of a couple who seemingly turned the tables when one decided to kidnap an ICE agent. Reports say agents walked up to 24-year-old Mr. B. He has an African name or something that I cannot pronounce, but we're going to call him Mr. B. So they approached him outside of an apartment complex to talk to him about his immigration status. Mr. B did not cooperate. He refused to stop and talk to the agents, but instead he continued walking. He proceeded to walk to a nearby SUV. He got inside and told the 23-year-old Rakea Lyonisha Lee Frazier to take off. One of the agents tried to stop them, even getting into the front seat of the vehicle to try to halt the escape, thinking that that was going to stop them. But instead, the woman put the car into drive and drove off with the agent inside. Reports say Mr. B told her to stop and even called 911 from the back seat, but she refused to stop the vehicle. Officers and federal agents followed the SUV with lights and sirens, demanding her to stop the vehicle. They did so for several blocks, and the situation only ended once the car reached a police station where the two surrendered and were taken into custody. Now they are both facing federal charges tied to interfering with and assaulting a federal officer because she decided to drive off with the officer inside the car and not stop. So I feel like this story definitely would have gone well, Miss Pastor Stephanie, with "Is this real love?" When we spoke about that on Monday evenings, There's More to Be Said segment. But this has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wild stories you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is Vivian BM, and come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. Thank you, as always, to our loyal viewers and listeners, and thank you, Pastor Steph.
Girl. Wow stories, for real. Thank you so much for your contribution to today's conversation, and we pray you have a blessed day. Girl, miss you having these conversations with us.
Yes, me too. Have a good day.
All right, thank you. Ooh. Well, you know, we got to go a little backwards on Wednesdays, so I can give a shout out to all of my viewers. So if you're in the room, make sure you give Pastor KL. Oh my goodness gracious, he must be talking about me. Make sure you give Pastor Steph a shout out. We got a check-in from our boy Terrence. Good morning, Terrence. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We got to check in from our girl, Ketty. Hey, Ketty girl. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a check-in from Serge. Hey, Serge, what's going on, my brother? And we've got a check-in from our lady, Tamika. We are looking forward to chatting with you in a couple of minutes. Terrence said, V's back in that car. Yes, sir. And he says, the mayor had tactics is kind of crazy. I'm going to come back to those comments in 1 second. We got a check-in from our girl, Adele. Good morning, Adele. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I saw a check-in from another individual. I don't know what happened. I can't think of her name that I saw. But if you checked in and I don't see your comments anymore, come on, give me a holler so I can say good morning back to you. And we must say good morning to the ladies who hold us down. Oh, that's Lily. Okay, good morning, Lily. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you. We must give a shout out to the ladies that make sure we are up and running each and every time you see us on here live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. And that is our girl Shantice. Good morning. And we can't wait to get to talking to you this morning. And our girl Anika. Thank you so much, Anika, for holding us down. Good morning, and good morning again. So, with that PSA, which was really good this morning, very informative, there is some information that I got about what was being said about these perfumes and all of these things that, we put on our bodies and stuff, and how toxic it is. Well, I'm giving the information that endocrine disruptors are natural or human-made chemicals that may mimic, block, or interfere with the body's hormones, which are part of the endocrine system. Formaldehyde. We've all heard of formaldehyde. We have never heard of formaldehyde being used in a good way, but it's also known as methanol. It's colorless, pungent, and highly reactive chemical commonly used to produce industrial resins and particle boards and household disinfectants. And this is what we're putting on our bodies, ladies. When we're putting on these perfumes, and when we're using certain deodorants, when we're using certain, what do you call it? Wash. Well, my goodness, I can't think of the name of it right now. When we wash our clothes. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, when we're using all of these chemicals, this is what's going into these. These are part of the ingredients. And we're definitely stepping on some dangerous stuff. So, please make sure you're very careful about what you're putting on your skin, because you don't want anything disrupting your hormones. Thank you, Tamika. Thank you, detergent. Ooh, why was that such a hard one for me this morning? Be very careful. Be very careful of what you put on your skin. We want to put on those smell goods, and we love to go to Bath and Body Works and get all of these things, and these lotions and these creams, and just make sure you know what you're putting on your skin. We can't figure out why we're getting sick, this cancer thing has skyrocketed. When I was born, and through the years, it wasn't until the 70s that, this cancer started gaining some momentum. But baby, now you're hearing all kinds of different cancers. You've got bladder cancer, throat cancer, bone cancer, blood cancer. I couldn't, over the past couple of years, I can't believe the amount of cancers that we're hearing about. So we don't know where all of this stuff is coming from. We don't know what's going on with our bodies that are ever changing. We don't know what is going into these ingredients, what's being mixed up, and how we're, inhaling all of this stuff. Be very careful, okay? All right. Thank you so much. So, are we getting to this socially conscious conversation or what? Let's get our girl Tamika on here. Hey, Lady Tamika, good morning. Yes. Okay, there we go.
Good morning. Happy Wow Wednesday to you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm nice and toasty this morning. Thank God.
All righty. Good. Very good. And let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. I don't know if she's ready. Yes, there she is. There she is. Good
Good
morning.
morning, ladies. How are
Good
you?
morning. All right, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good, good. All right, Vivian dropped some socially conscious on us this morning before she got up out of here. And we got an update on the nurses' strike here in New York City. Remember, those hospitals included are Montefiore, Presbyterian, and Mount Sinai, and up to 15,000 nurses are affected. And earlier this week, I spoke about Vivian brought this update to us from the beginning where they were threatening to go on strike, and she brought to us in Socially Conscious that the nurses had actually gone on strike. And as of latter part of last week, they had said that they were going to cancel by February 1st. That was Montefiore had said that by February 1st, if there was no agreement and they were not back to work, that these nurses would no longer get this fabulous health benefit package. And they have no deductibles, no co-pays. They have prescription plan, they have dental, and they have vision. So they were threatening to shut them down, Montefiore, as of February 1st. But Mount Sinai had already stopped their benefits when they went out on the picket line to begin with. And they cited that this was a part of their contract, that if you do not work, you do not get benefits. So now Vivian is bringing us an update, and she says that the healthcare benefits are no longer an issue. They have pushed back the nurses, and they have said, you can't threaten us with the fact of healthcare being off the table if we are striking for what we feel we are not getting, which is better pay, better work conditions, so forth and so on. Workplace safety is really high on this list for them. And we talked about this on Monday, and, we didn't say whether they should or shouldn't, but we did definitely say that be careful of what you sign for, because listen, Mount Sinai has not had, those ladies and men have not had health insurance benefits at all from the time it's on the line. At least Montefiore has definitely, taken it off the table. They never got to the suspension of the medical benefits. And the Presbyterian had not done anything either. So they have agreed, Presbyterian and Mount Sinai have both agreed that they would take this off the table, and they would continue to review this issue. Now, they didn't say that it would not ever be an issue again. They say they would keep this under review as they were discussing some other things. Unfortunately, there has been no return to work date, so they have not gotten an agreement well enough to put them back to work. And let's see what the ladies think about this thing here. Lady Tamika, you were on with us on Monday when we were talking about be careful of what you signed for, because this was a part of your contract. Well, the powers that be have said, you know what, don't worry about it for now. For now, this is not guaranteed to go into, another bad thing later on. What's your word?
I said it on Monday, and I still stand by that. You should still have the right to strike. You also think about it this way. I found out by accident that when a group organization is striking, you risk your life trying to just go past the picket line.
Yes.
I remember a long time ago, I wore one of my mother's T-shirts. She used to work for the telephone company, and they were striking. And I wore the T-shirt, and I'm walking past there to go meet her at work. She literally, oh my God, what are you doing? And I was like, what's wrong? She was like, they're striking. Do you realize that somebody could hit you? You know, you could have been beat down, you know, so you kind of are teeter-tottering, you know, that's a very hard place to put a person in. And then in addition to that, say, well, you're not going to get your health care. You know, that's really, really complicated. The fact that they took it off the table now, I think is a benefit to them. You know, it secures their mind, you know, their household and their family, because it's not just me. You know, if I have children and a spouse, you know, all of that is encapsulated in that. So I think that's a beautiful thing that they're doing.
Good morning. All right. We have a check-in from Miss Peggins. Miss Peg Sings. Boy, y'all got some names here. Good morning. I'm just going to say Miss Peg. All right, Tamika. Yes, that's what you kind of put out there on Monday. Shantice, you were not part of this conversation on Monday. Yes. What say you?
It sounds like they're making steps towards ending this and giving these nurses their just due. You know, to hear that they were, when I heard Monday that they were talking about canceling the nurse benefits, I'm like, but they're the ones who care for the benefits. How does that work? That for a living, I care for others, but now my care benefits are being taken away because you don't want to give me what I'm owed. I haven't heard anything in regards to these nurses asking for something that's like, all right, that's a reach. Like, you're being disrespectful. That's too much. You're already getting this. It's like, come on, these nurses. And since COVID, since them being expected to and prohibited from going home, I didn't hear, maybe it was, and I just missed it. I didn't hear that there was this, you know what, since as a whole, you nurses stood up and stood out for that, here's what we're going to do for you on a consistent basis moving forward. Not a pizza party, not anything like that, but this is now what's going to be implemented for nurses, especially nurses who were nurses during that time, not nurses who, prior to then, I'm not saying prior, but since then, post that whole COVID peak. But y'all were in the trenches during that time. Here's now what's being put into your benefits. Here's what we add into it. This is what we're implementing. Here's the pay increases. I didn't hear any of that. So now for them years later to, say, okay, this is what we feel we deserve, just give them. So I'm happy to hear that there's been an adjustment in that since it was reported on Monday.
Absolutely. I definitely raised the issue on Monday of be careful of what you sign, because this can come back to haunt you. But, my biggest stance is I said several times when Vivian brought it up in the beginning and we talked about it the other day, as I was in a hospital. And can I tell you something? I keep hearing this thing about, they're picketing for workplace safety and salary and things like that. Can I tell you something? After being in this hospital, when I was in the ER, oh my God, when I tell you pandemonium, utter pandemonium. This was at the height of the flu season, and I go get sick at that time. And the beds, you're in your slots at the foot of your bed. You couldn't move. They were moving, shuffling between them and the transporters, having to take you to and fro. And when I tell you something, when I went upstairs, you would have never known. You would have never known that they were in the mouth of striking. You would have never known. Would have never known that they were unhappy with salary or work safety or anything. You would have never known. And I was in a Presbyterian hospital. You would have, oh my gosh, you would have never known. And when I, came out, that's when I heard that all of this pending strike was going on. And I was like, ooh, with the care that we were given, and I don't know what happened this particular trip. In the bed next to me, they had just patient after patient who did not speak English, was Hispanic, did not speak, older women who did not speak any English, who all had an issue with staying in the bed, and they were like, they were worried about them falling. So they were the bed was on an alarm. So every time they would get up, they'd have to, the alarm would go off. So my entire week, this is the way I spent it. And they're calling translators, and they even got to the point where they were doing one-to-ones. They were doing shifts with one-to-ones, and this was impromptu. This was not, okay, when they got there, we understand it. No, this was after going through all of this craziness with trying to get them to stay seated. They had to go into this emergency mode. And I could hear, because I was at the door, the nurse was right outside my door. When I could tell you, I didn't hear any whispering or complaining, or they just went into this emergent mode of making sure that these women, and it was like, I think it was 3 at the end of the day, it was 3 in that week. And when I tell you, they were, oh my goodness, and they were rattled. You could, because how can you keep up with the rest of your patients when you constantly, and I was like, she's out of the bed again. Because there were a couple of times where the alarm didn't even go off. And I said, she's out of her bed again. So now I'm playing, you know, babysitter as well.
Yes.
Right. But I wasn't annoyed either, because my thing was, they were taking it so well. How could I now call myself Pastor Steph, and now I'm all in an uproar? Would I have liked to be a little more rested? Absolutely. But I was like, there was one male on while I was there, but these women, this man, when I tell you, they took it like a champ. And like I said, there was nobody who came up there. It was no nursing supervisor who came up there and said, okay, now ladies, this is what we're going to do. And no, this was, okay, how are we going to make this work? You can literally hear this being worked out. So hearing that they had issues, I was like, yo, I'll take my hat off to them any day. Give these ladies and men what they need, what they want. I don't think anything would be, you're asking for workplace safety? What could be going on that y'all could not automatically see this and grant it to them without them having to strike for it? So shame on y'all that these people even have to. I still say, be careful of what you signed for, because they can hold you to that. Yes. So, unfortunately, if they decided when they push back to say, yo, we're not giving it to you because we don't care what's going on now, you'll sign. They technically have a right because you signed, and we have to be very careful. Do you want to go to litigation and now take this to court and all that? You can, it's all. We always talk about the stupid stuff that makes it to court. So this would be something that would be worth it, going to court. But do you now want to have that, to worry about as well? Your children can't go to the doctor. You can't go to the doctor. You have elderly women and men, up in age, who have their own health issues, but they're caring so much for the patients and things like that. So, I say, give it to them. Stop messing around. You need these people on site. I'm sorry. Standing out in the street, unless they're planning on working for people who fall out in the street, that's one thing. But we really need you in the hospital. I'm telling you, we really, really need you. The doctors need you in the hospital. Yes. We got a check in from Michael Ellis, sending love. Good morning. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for checking in. All right. So here we are. We are less than a month in to this new year, and our new mayor, Mom Donnie, and he's got this Make the City More Affordable campaign. That's what he pushed while he was campaigning. And one of the things he wanted to target was a better pay for our DoorDashers, Uber drivers, all of our food service people like that. Well, now there's a snag because if you push their salaries up, somebody's got to pay for it. So do the restaurants pay for this increase, or do they now kick the increase over to the customer when you order? So you'll see these new fees, these increased fees, and now the people are complaining because they're saying, listen, you said make the city more affordable, but right now it's not becoming more affordable. It's now becoming less affordable because now we got to eat these fees. Now, whether you kick the fees over to the restaurant, if you kick the fees over to the customers, whether you split it, we don't know. But all we know is we ain't happy with this. So what you got, Shantice, for this delivery issue?
Again, as it was asked, I believe by Vivian and by you, where is it going? I remember the uproar, like the slight up and on uproar that was taking place with when he was mentioning even about the free buses, the free bus rides, and it was like, wait, what? Okay, so it's bad enough of what everyone has to contend with. Subway passengers have to contend with. Now you're trying to have us contend with that on the buses. It's like, I don't think a lot of these things are well thought out. I believe it's like, what can I do? There is some attempted forethought to what can I do to make the situation better, but I believe there's some more forethought on what can I do to make the situation better, but will also highlight me in what my name can go down in doing. Am I explaining that right? So it's like, I want my name to go down with, I was able to provide affordable or free bus rides when MTA just went up and no one wanted to pay that. And now, ta-da, you can have ride the bus for free. But then look at all the riots and stuff that you're causing because there's free bus ride. It's like, so I think because of things like that, and at the same time, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand it because, you're the first mayor of your race in this seat. You're a millennial. So there's kind of like a lot already like unsaid pressure on you. Right. All eyes on you, even based on those two factors, your age and your race. So no one has really been this young from my understanding, or at least in a long time, in this seat. And with your faith and your race. So it's like, I want to be able to say I did this, I did that, but that doesn't need to be your priority. Your priority needs to be, does these things make sense? How are these things gonna help when I leave? Are they gonna say I can't wait to kick him out and they're gonna forget everything that I implemented, or are these things gonna be generational to where they're gonna want to keep these things going?
Right. All righty. Lady Tamika, what say you?
So this is what happens when you have someone who has not been in office, been near the office, not really worked. You got all these big, bright ideas, which are beautiful, but how to implement them is
difficult.
In the real world, it doesn't work. In your mindset, everything is beautiful, and then you go to try to put that into effect, and then you go, oh God, there's chaos to the left of me, chaos to the right of me. There are all these different checks and balances. Even just to make one step, you got to go through this person, these people, those, to get things moving. And I think, he's just realized, I can't do that. I can't just, because my name, you've got this office, but you've got to be able to go through all, a bunch of people to make anything happen. And I think now he's starting to realize.
All righty. Well, first of all, anyone who's stepping into office, and I don't care what that office is, they're always going to be under a great deal of scrutiny. because they're going to be watching everything you do. Black, white, red, green, brown, young, old, rich, poor, it don't matter. You know, you're going to have these people who are going to be looking at you real hard for what you do. That's why I said, here we are. We haven't even given him a month. He hasn't even been the mayor a month. We are only at what? The 28th of the month, and he's already getting hell, you know, because this great idea he had is not working. Well, here's the problem. If this piece here was not thought out well, and I'll say it like that because we all know that in order for the delivery drivers to get an increase, it has to come from somewhere. So unless you're stepping in and the city is becoming it's going to be split in three. So now instead of it being the restaurant or the customer, you're now saying, okay, well, it's $15. We want to raise it to $17. So the city will kick in the extra $2. If that's not happening, you better have worked this out before you even get there. So in other words, if you knew that this is what you wanted to do, then you needed to come out with your boots hitting the ground and you were running. So in other words, you should have been able to say, all right, listen, the restaurant owners are going to eat this and just get help from the restaurant owners. Or the customers are going to eat this and just get help from the customers. But to now just have this great idea of increasing delivery, you know, their delivery, these delivery drivers get an increase, which is great. But you didn't come out because here's the thing. You don't want to make people mad. You don't want to, you know, stir the water. But as a brand new person, you are going to stir the water. I don't care where you are, no matter if you're a brand new pastor, if you're a brand new president, if you're a brand new janitor, and you're bringing new ideas in, you're going to stir the water. So just get ready. Just get ready. And that's where my criticism comes from. That the fact that you knew you wanted to do this before you went into office. So you know what? You should have been ready to just eat it. Just say, listen, the customer's going to eat it. And I want to see them have more money, you know, in their pocket. And if some of you have door dashers and Uber drivers in your family, then guess what? We're going to have to pitch in and help them get there. Somebody's got to eat, or split it, go left and go right. Let everybody meet in the middle. So that's my criticism. Not that, you know, he's young, old, or not that he's, you know, somebody brand new, but this is what you get when you're brand new, because you don't know how to hit the ground running. Yeah, in New York City, you will have to hit the ground running. So being new, boy, you better be ready. That's all. That's the only thing. So when you say this is what happens when you're new, ladies, you're absolutely right. But yo, just take it. You know, let me tell you something. Leadership is hell.
I'm learning more and more every day.
It's hell. Just you gonna have to deal with the hell. So go ahead and just eat it, Mom Donnie. Just make your call. But here's my thing, and I want you ladies to help me with this one. We got a check-in from Pastor KL. Hey, Pastor KL. We got some claps from Adele, and we've got a comment from Serge. He says, these CEOs don't care for their workers like police, sanitation, nurses, doctors, and the transit workers ask for safety. But I guess he's saying we don't get it. Yeah, it's about where your focus is, Serge. You're absolutely right. So here's my thing. I have not heard, this was part of the conversation before he got into office, because we got some time. I haven't heard that he was doing a lot of shifting from Adams people. Because as much as you may want to help your people, which I know this is going down because there was pressure. There was pressure for this one. You know, he was going to come in, he was going to give all these people jobs and blah, 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 blah. But it does for everybody. That's what happens for everybody. You can't wipe out your team because you got to leave some people in place who know what to do, because you don't. just by being, just by being new. But if you've got all these advisors around you, my question is, what is going on? How come we're at this point where he was struggling with the snow and the teachers and whether to close a school, open a school? Now you've got this thing with, do I give the fee to the customer or the restaurant? What is happening when you get in office and you don't utilize the people around you, Shantice? Because that's what it looks like to me.
Again, because like you said, a lot of people don't understand that it's not always meant to, or it's not always time to reinvent the wheel. Like you said, I gotta go in with discernment to know who needs to stay and who has to go. And that doesn't have anything to do with your expertise, because you could be great in advising in transit, but if you someone who need to go, you someone who need to go, for other obvious reasons. But like you said, when you're fresh out the box and this is new for you, you do have to now play the game. And part of playing the game is, hey, a great leader is only great because of their team. You're only a leader if there's people to lead. So if you kick everybody out and you bring on newcomers, who you leading? Because this is not a position where you got time to groom and teach everybody. This is not the time for that. And you keep the people in place. Let's say if your plan was, okay, so if I have this seat for 4 years, for the first 2 years, I'm keeping these people in place and I'm going to have my people under them and maybe have them groom. It don't have to be a secret because you ain't trying to get over. You shouldn't be. Have these, them groom them, and maybe now my people can assist them so that they can get the experience. I got people here that I also trust and who also know, so on and so forth. But for you to try to wipe the slate clean and start over, that doesn't make much sense to me either. And it doesn't say a lot for your leadership skills, because even in a perfect world, there's no such thing as that. So you have to learn when it's time for it, if it ever is time for it.
All righty. Lady Tamika, you're taking this brand new seat in any seat. You're taking this brand new seat and you've got people there that know. Like Shanti said, some people stay, some people go, some people got to stay, some people got to go. But how do you even function if you don't utilize the people who have the know? Mm-hmm. And he's struggling here. He's struggling.
Yeah, this is not a ground roots organization where you picking something up and you putting the pieces together yourself. It was already orchestrated, and you've got people who have a plethora of knowledge. They know what to do. They know how to do. The other thing that works against you is that you're not a native of the state. You're not a native of New York, so you don't know how things piece together. I can tell you many of teachers that were agitated because, everybody else is saying that the weather's going to be bad. And we understand that New York, sometimes they'll say the weather's bad and then all of a sudden you see nothing.
Right.
We understand that. We get that, but my thing is, when New York gets one of those alerts like that, where they say don't go anywhere prior to, you don't wait till Sunday at noon.
Right.
Tell somebody, okay, well, I'm going to decide then. When in fact on Friday, we all knew. You could feel it in the weather. You could see it in the air, everything around you. You could see the trucks coming, multiple trucks, one right behind the other. And you're still in we'll wait till the last minute to do it. You've got people who've got children. They got to make sure that multiple children are placed wherever.
Right.
I've got to go to work. Somebody, I need to make sure I get a babysitter. I can't do that on Sunday. And so I felt, I feel like you didn't utilize what you had. And in that sense, you're no bigger or no better than our current, president. Because a lot of times he's got people that are right in there. And it's kind of like the Family Feud. You got all these family members telling you the right answer, and you go, I'm going to go on my own, and I'm going to say this. And that's what ends up happening. You end up losing the game.
Right. And that was my puzzle. I was like, well, what do you mean you don't know and you're not going to say till 12 o'clock on Sunday? Well, clearly you're not a family man.
We need to know these things. Are we giving the kids bath tonight? Are we telling them what time they need to go to bed? Are we letting them stay up late? Like, what are we doing?
Right. Grandma coming over early, before this. Is she coming over Saturday night because it's about to snow and we're gonna be snowed in? And I got a job where I have to get to work because if a relief doesn't come, people are stuck. I was like, okay, so why are you so perplexed as to how to move? And one of the things is exactly what you said, Lady Tamika. Where you been? Where have you been? Not only that, I heard on Saturday morning a teacher say, well, he doesn't know that the teachers have contracts that say that like they gotta work a certain amount of like something that the teachers like part of his decision had something to do with the teacher's contract, whatever piece it was. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean he doesn't know? Okay, so take understanding. No, you're not going to know everything. However, you got a chancellor. Who knows? You've got people in your office who know. Where are your advisors and how are you utilizing them?
Right.
Because they're there. We know that the chancellor did not shift. And if you did shift chancellors, then shame on you, because look at you who walked into a blizzard right in the beginning of your office seat. And now you didn't replace the people who don't even know what to do. And you don't know what to do. So it's just really, I don't know if this is going to be the move for him, because if you don't start out right, oh my gosh, getting up and running is going to be so hard on the right track. And the stuff that I'm hearing from early that you don't know is I don't have a problem with what you don't know, but that's why we have an entire office of people who do know. And I need a smart person utilizes what they have. So I don't know. I don't know what this says for him as an individual. Lord Hammer. Again, this is who we vote for. And again, same thing like you said to Lady Tamika with the president. Another one who got in the seat and went rogue. And now the people who put him there, they ain't happy no more. Yo, these people show you who they are and what they are bringing to the table. And one of the things that a lot of people, older people, were complaining about was the newness of it all. We are not a city that needs to be left with a bunch of newness. Mm-hmm. No, we need somebody in that chair who knows. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Everybody has their pros and cons. Every single candidate have their pros and cons. You better make sure you choose the right pros and cons, because this is what we end up with.
My heart went out to Al and I guess a lot of other educators, because we recognize that there are certain amounts of snow days that they have. So that's Monday was a working day. But I was, eavesdropping. I'm listening to what they're talking about. Garbage. They had a paint and sip, kind of sort of thing. And then I'm like, that's work related. They had to do something to keep you working. And like, my heart went out to Al. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I have absolutely no idea.
Wow. Yeah. We've got to have, when we raise our hand, Shantice did a switch tip, like be careful what you raise your hand for. Yeah, I thought I got it. And you got to be careful. everything that you jump into, you may not be ready for. And don't be surprised when you meet a lot of scrutiny because you are not making the right moves. Like I said, we're all going to receive scrutiny when we get into a chair. I don't care how insignificant that seat is or how important that seat is. We're all going to get it. But you don't need no additional scrutiny when you just don't do the right thing. It just, that ain't going to be the smart thing. All righty. Woo, woo, woo. This is not the first time, ain't the second time, but the government has had a security breach where our names, addresses, and social security numbers have been exposed because there's been a breach in the government data system. What did Vivian say? Like up to 300 million Americans can be vulnerable. So they're telling you to check your reports regularly, avoid sharing your number, like you stand out on the corner and give it out. I don't understand. Watch for suspicious bills or different notices. If you want to, you have the ability to lock your social security number from being used. And are we surprised, Lady Tamika, that the government is vulnerable? Not the Americans necessarily, but the government is vulnerable first.
No, not at all. Excuse me, one moment. You often hear me say, somebody got to be the babysitter. And it wouldn't be surprising that the government itself needs somebody to watch. Your job is just to watch. Because this is not the first time that we've had stuff like this happen, and it wouldn't surprise me, that the government is targeted as well, because, you can get access to so very many things by, getting, that data breach. And the fact that we are all affected, we should all be able to get, what is that thing? Nordic? I can't think of what it is now, to cover all of your transactions. We should get that for free.
Okay. Right. By all means.
Because when other companies do it, you get a certain period of time. When Target did that great big thing where they had the data breach, they gave you that for free. And now
for a year or something.
The government, which is the big baby of all babies, or the mama bear has got it. And now all of a sudden, we just, now we have to cover ourselves because of the mishap, right. Which I think is completely
right. Absolutely. We've got from The Real Term. Good morning. Thank you for dropping by. They say if you're on the internet, your data is out there, especially if you purchase online in any way. Absolutely true. Shantice.
As you said, and as Vivian stated, it's it goes back, Steph, to when you said there's some people that they're always afraid to do something on the line. My grandmother was one. When we started assisting her with her, paying her bills and stuff, she was always on point with. But because she was a baby boomer, she was a baby boomer, right? A baby boomer. Yeah, they're the type that still wrote everything down, and they went to the post office to mail up, and we're like, ma'am, I'm sorry. We ain't making no 90 trips to no post office a month. I'm not even willing to do the one, because your records are so on point. You're able to make one trip to the post office and just send all your bills for the month off at once. That is so admirable. You're my shero. But no, we're doing this on the line. Okay? Because ain't nobody making those trips. I don't care how good the weather is. And even though we understood her concerns, it was like, okay, at the same time, you have to have that balance of keeping up with the time. This means that you have to have the knowledge and the discernment and the wisdom that you need. And if you don't, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. So in her case, God blessed her with us, who we were able to be a lot more knowledgeable and know what to look out for when there were breaches and wait, I didn't do that. I've been noticing that I've been getting some invoices emailed to me for purchases that I've made. And I just saved the invoice. I'm like, God forbid anything come up, I'll be able to revert right back to it's like, no, see, someone sent me da. So today I have nothing to do with this. But it's not all that much of a surprise, especially around tax time, that there's a breach, in this and that, especially around the time when, this isn't the peak of the whole migrant thing, but there's still the whole, migrant issue. And, are you paying attention to what's being done on your credit report? Are you paying attention to your bank account? Pastor Steph just did something, and I was just watching something also. They was like, okay, so how are you not paying attention to, listen, I ain't got no money and I check my account all the time. Just in case someone decides to sow a seed and listen to what God put on their heart. I want to see, I went in my account and saw $7. I almost fell off the wall. Like, who put $7 in my account? I got $7. Who put $7 in my account? Okay. But listen, you have to stay on point, because guess what? Those banks are for their benefit. If they shut one of my business accounts that isn't under a business account, but one of the accounts that I use for like transactions or anything like that, they shut that down at one point because they didn't know why there was so much activity. And I said, did I steal y'all money? Oh no, I said, what? I'm sorry, I'm still lost as to what you're doing. First of all, you called me asking questions. I just hung up. Let me call you. Okay, don't be calling me asking me no questions. I hung up and said, I'll call y'all back in a few hours. After I took my nap, I got up, I prayed, I called, and I was like, okay, so why y'all calling me? Did I steal something? Did y'all accidentally put money in my account and I spent it and now y'all trying to retrieve it? No, so I'm trying to understand, we just see a lot of activity. Isn't an account for activity? What is happening here? So am I supposed to just sit with a bank account and nothing goes in, nothing comes out, or you're only giving me 2 times a month to take something out or put something in? Or I don't understand so when it comes to how it's going to benefit them, those banks are on it. So you need to make sure you're paying attention to your stuff, because at any point there could be a breach somehow, like someone just put, no matter what you do on the line, your information is automatically put out there. So you have to be on point. You have to pay attention. You can't rely on anyone else to do that for you.
Pastor,
absolutely.
I thought about also, this restructuring of the Social Security Department, I'm just looking at all of these different things, we don't see it, but then like when you start piecing things together, it starts making a whole DMV and I've got a friend of mine that works for the Social Security Department, and you're trying to do all of these things, and he says all your information is already out there.
Yeah,
out there, and now we have to do the due diligence of checking your bank account. I've got now when anything is taken out of my account over a penny, you got to alert. It may be
yes.
Did I do that? Okay, yeah, I did. Nope, didn't do that. Yep. Oh, you got to call on that. Crazy.
Yeah, you're right. You got to have, listen, for all of you who don't know this, almost every credit card, bank card, they give you options for your alerts. You can get alerts on almost anything. You can get an alert every time a purchase is made with that card. You can get an alert every time that account goes underneath a certain dollar amount. You can set your alerts. Just take the time to go in, and some of us want more alerts than others. Some of us want less alerts than others, but you do have those options. So make sure you exercise those options. I have some older people who I know, they do they argue and fuss about every time they ask you that you're forced to go online to make a purchase. Why? Because of what Bill Term just got finished saying, is that now I understand that my information is out there. All you got to do is type in, Mary John, and all in the Google, and you got all that information comes up. You got who used to live with you and the address and your age. It gives everything. You are out there. So for me, just get that through your head. Get it through your head. You're out there. We are living in a world where we're out there, where we are vulnerable. Now, you're talking to somebody who has had identity theft.
I was thinking about that, especially when they spoke about stuff like the tax returns and stuff like that.
You're talking to somebody that I didn't have some stuff. But can I tell you something? Do you see me on here moping, sweating? Oh my God. No. I've gotten more credit cards when I wanted. You know what I'm saying? It has not. In other words, listen, no man can close a door that God has opened, and no man can open the door that God has closed. And every day I go out from this broadcast telling you to just come on this side of the fence and join the team of just peace. Only God can give you peace during all of this madness, where the government got your stuff all out there. Shame on them. And like Tamika said, when anybody else has had a breach, they give you free monitoring for a year. Some of them have given you for 2 years and all kinds. You know how many times I've gotten some of them? Oops. Somebody went, oops, they dropped the folders in the street. Oops, somebody went through our stuff. Oops. And, we've given you, a free monitoring system, a monitoring ability for such as if you want to after that. Sometimes I start wondering if y'all really did have this breach, or y'all trying to sell your cousin's new monitoring system. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious because everything is up for a game. Everything is a game and a scandal. So, and a scam. So, listen, we're out there. We're out there. Vivian said that they said because it's on the dark web. We're out there on the dark web. When I check my credit report, it'll tell me your email was found on the dark web. I'm like, okay, I just watch more. I just go through my emails more. I watch my bank accounts. I just told y'all, I was on here last year and told you I got 2 notices for 2 years, 2021, 2022. Somebody tried to file taxes. So now in order for me to file taxes, I got to jump through hoops. I got to run around the corner. I got to go to Siberia and come back first. I got to do all kinds of things. It just made my life more difficult. But you know what? I didn't get mad. I said, God, there's some protection. Woo! Yep. You are protecting me more than I even know you're protecting me. Woo! Y'all. You know what? Because I literally had to make a trip to the IRS to show that it wasn't me, blah, 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 to take all kinds of things. And I'm like, you know what, God? I'm really not going to get upset because nobody else I know outside of Pastor Charlene, who said somebody filed income taxes. She told us on here, but nobody else I know has had this problem. So I didn't have my identity theft stolen 3-4 times already. And I still, like I said, I've never been stopped from doing what I could do, what I wanted to do. And you got me. Because somewhere along the line, behind the scenes, this is locking me. You are making me go through this. You are locking me down when I think you're locking me down. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It makes sense, ladies. You know, as women of God, you really, and people of God, we really got to start thinking like that. Mm-hmm. And I ain't getting upset because you know what? While I'm mad because I got to go to the IRS and prove and disprove and da-da-da, I'm like, something else is going on that you watching Stephanie. You're watching out for Stephanie. So you know what? I'm just going to continue to do my due diligence. And you know what? I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm not going to worry about it. So listen, people, just do what you can do. You know, we can't do more than what we can do. You do have access to your credit report. You do have access to your bank accounts. I didn't like to put apps on my phone, but they told us that we're more secure with the apps than we are with going through the web. for our, bank accounts and things like that. So listen, just do your due diligence and trust God. That's the only thing. You got to check in from Brian Shantiz. He didn't say hey to the group. He said hey Shantiz. So
Right.
Tamika, that makes you and I irrelevant.
Not irrelevant. He thought Pastor Kale was going to be on today.
All right, ladies, we've got the wow story of the week. So you've got Mr. B as a 24-year-old Mr. B, as Vivian calls him. He was coming out of his building or whatever, and ICE was approaching him to check on his immigration status. He says, yo, I'm not giving up nothing. He continued to walk it. He got in his SUV. He got inside and told the 23-year-old woman in that picture to go ahead and drive off. Well, as she went to drive off, the ICE agent got into the car and she kept going. Now, Mr. B told her, yo, stop. She decided, I'm not stopping. Well, he called 911. This chase, ensued, and they ended up stopping right at a police precinct. And lo and behold, they were both arrested. They are facing federal charges because she refused to stop the car. So now they're both in trouble. And Shantiz, what's the question? Who was really wrong?
No, the question is, who's a fool?
My girl.
Okay.
Girl.
All right.
My girl. You
know what? This is why the buns be so big, because it helps with my brain power, right? It helps with my brain power. Because I'm listening to this and I'm like, I'm 40 years old. I've always understood the definition of kidnapping to be you take someone against their will. They don't see it coming most of the time, but you've captured them. I got you. If I already see you going and I get in with you, did you catch me? Or did I get in with you? How is it kidnapping if I was a willing participant in the vehicle? Now, again, see, this is why everybody needs to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, because it's like the cops. Y'all have a bad rapport that even if I am an illegal migrant, I have justified cause to be concerned with how you're going to deal with me, because y'all have not been on the up and up on how y'all been dealing with the situation, how you've been treating people. We just heard about the ICE agent who raped the woman, claiming he promised her that she would see her family and kept her detained. And while she was in his under his guidance, he was raping her in the broom closet the whole time, multiple days. So even as someone who has no business being here, I still have probable cause to run from you. But if you already see me running, and then I jump in your car, did you kidnap me? I got a real, this is really bothering me, for real. And as Lady Tamika's talking, I'm gonna pull up the definition of kidnapping. Like I said, I had to tell from the moment I told my niece, I think she was like 6 or 7, I had to talk with her about making sure she's aware of her surroundings so she won't get kidnapped. Now, everything was about her getting kidnapped. Don't run ahead of me. They're going to kidnap me. And she would say this out loud. Don't do that. They're going to kidnap me. No, they're going to kidnap me. So it was great because if you were going after her, she just blew up your cover. But you have to put those definitions out there for these kids. Well, now you got to put the definition out there for the adults, I believe. I'm just lost. Maybe I need some Christian clarity. I don't know. But as Lady Tamika's talk, I'm about to look up the definition.
All right, Lady Tamika. What say you about this kidnapping?
I'm looking at Shantice. So I don't get it either. You know, first of all, you know, we need to be very clear and aware of what's going on, especially with this ICE situation, because they're trying their best to do whatever it is that they want to do, you know, and you know it's sad that we got to go to this degree, you know, like I have a corner store literally on the corner of my block. I don't leave my house without my ID. You know, just right to the corner. That's what three houses to the corner. You know, and this guy is doing his business, getting ready to go wherever he needs to go. They don't have a right cause to stop you. You know, and that's one thing. Got that? He gets in his car. You get in with him, and they drive. And now you say that he's kidnapping you. When in actuality, you're holding him. But you're in the car, helpless. Oh, I'm being kidnapped. You know, you get in the car and then you change the game, the rules to the game. You know, it's like little kids playing a game. That, oh, no, I'm the police officer. I can arrest you now. Wait a minute. It just doesn't make sense how kidnapped her is now the kidnapped. If I'm saying that right.
Yes.
Especially when you read the definition. Kidnapping, moving another person a substantial distance without the person's consent by means of force or fear. Synonym, abduct, take someone away by force or deception. There was no deceiving you, sir. I was in my car. The gear was in drive. You said, I want to ride too. You opened the door yourself. I ain't have no candy that lured you in here. I wasn't dressed seductively and said I would give you any sexual acts to get you in here. You got in here by your own. You made the choice to get in the car and go the distance. How did I kidnap you? The law. This is some twisted stuff going on here. I don't understand.
Somebody
Were you finished?
Emoji up, please.
On the one like this. Wait. On the one like this.
Right. Somebody, please. Either one.
All righty. So let me read some older comments. I don't want anybody to think that I forgot about them. So Terrence says, yes, the mayor's tactics are kind of crazy. When we were talking about Mom Donnie and his new ideas, he says everybody's social security numbers are on the dark web. Anyway, we're screwed. Oh, absolutely. We have Lily, who says, how do we even get to kidnapping the kidnappers? That's what you ladies was saying. Terrence says, how is that kidnapping when he jumped in their car? He just wanted a ride. All right, so here's where my brain went when Vivian started. I was like, well, wait a minute. I think y'all just way too invested in this getting people for immigration. You approach the man on the street Now, we have all seen video of ICE in action, them snatching people and handcuffing them and roughing them up. And we've seen this. This has not been anything we would all be like, oh my God, do they do that? We all know that that's what they do. So my question is, why didn't you take him while he was out on the street? How vested are you that when this man got in his car, you got in the car? You ain't that desperate for nobody. I'm sorry. And guess what? If you are, you got what you deserved. Because if it's illegal to get into someone's car on your own, if I was driving my car, you, Lady Tamika, were driving your car, Shartice was driving your car, and somebody got in the back of my car that I didn't know, that's not illegal? Do I have to really go to the law book to see whether that's illegal or not? You have no business in my car. You were not detaining me. You could have been detaining me when I got in my car. So guess what? You got what you deserve. Vivian says consent ends once the person says no, stop. So she kept going after he said stop the vehicle. So now they both going down for this foolishness. Right. That's a separate, that's you're absolutely right. And that's a whole separate issue.
I don't agree with that.
There's a whole separate issue. For me, you talk direct, be quiet. Now, my thing is, you ain't got no business getting into people's car. You have no business getting into people's car. We've got a check-in from Miss Herlima. Hey, Miss Herlima, thank you for joining us. Good morning. We got a check-in from Jerome. Hey, Jerome. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. So we're talking about our socially conscious segment. You're going to have to go back and check it out if you missed it. So you got in the car. You had no business getting in nobody's car, period. All right. So if they drove off, serve you right. Now, as for you and I in the car, if I tell you to stop, I guess she figured she was the driver and she had the final say because she would not stop the car. Now, I don't know why she wouldn't stop the car. I want to know how they ended up stopping at the police department. That was my other question. So you just happened to stop at the police department after you were driving? So if you were driving me, Tamika, and we were getting in the car, and when I said this ICE agent was in the back of the car, and I said pull off, and she didn't realize, and I didn't realize the guy was in the car when I said pull off, and then I told you to stop, I'm gonna be pretty mad at you that you don't stop. Number one, because don't they have guns? Because see, they're kind of out of it. Let me tell you something. I'm convinced that if you're an ICE agent, you ain't wrapped too tight. I'm sorry. Yeah, you ain't wrapped all the way. So here we are. I'm telling you to stop. I don't know whether he's gonna pull out a gun and start shooting because he's gonna feel justified because you took off in the car. Yo, you not thinking. Because see, that's the kind of stuff that they would do. If you got in my car and now y'all gonna charge me with kidnapping, then if he started shooting, then y'all would find some justification for that shooting when all you had to do was stop and let him out. I bet you that'd be the last time he got in the car.
Well, he got in the car because his feelings were hurt because Mr. B ignored her. Like, oh no,
that's right. Absolutely. But again, I say you took your chances when you got in the car.
You did.
Because if you could have detained him outside. So when you actually saw him continue to walk, we have seen all over the place that once people don't obey what they say, that hey, they going all off. Okay? And now here we are with this dilemma. So now you got two friends mad at one another. And you mad because you were kidnapped. Brian says the delusion with some women is top tier. I guess he figures because she kept on driving, she was in delusion somewhere.
Maybe she
All
went
right.
to the precinct because that was her way of protecting them.
Right, securing. Right, that's why I said I agree. That's what I said. We end up stopping at the precinct at the police department. No, that was intentional for her. She drove right there because I guess she figured I need to stop in front of some cops. I have a video that I just sent Shantice, and I want us to watch. Now, I don't remember the language in this video. I don't remember the language in the video, but the video is nothing without the audio. So listen, cover your ears. Let's play the video.
Jurisdiction here. This is New York City, not your playground.
Lieutenant, we're just doing
Your job ends at the city line. We run things down here.
Cuffs are on, sir.
Good. You're under arrest for unlawful detainment and impersonation of a police officer. You don't have any at me now. What? You got nothing to say? You think you can snatch people up down here? Huh? Not in my city. You're just cowards hiding behind masks.
Yo, they really cuffing ICE.
Resisting hands behind
I'm
your
not
back.
resisting. We got no jurisdiction here.
Zip tie him. Lock him up. You are under arrest. You understand?
Illegal.
Move it on. Hey, back
No,
up.
you back up. Cops now. You don't have any power in our city. We run things here. You hear me?
We're doing our job, Sergeant.
Your job ends at that federal line. Down here, you're just guys in black hoodies grabbing people off trains. Not anymore.
Hey, back
no,
up.
you back up. Cops now.
Stay down, man. Stop twisting.
Cuffs secure. Weapons out of the holster.
EMS, notify transit. We got 3 in custody, now southbound.
Stay down, man. Stop twisting.
Cuffs
You think nobody sees you hiding behind a mask?
back, officer.
Nah, not today. Stop hiding behind masks. You want to snatch people up? Do it in the daylight. You can play those games in other states, but not in New York.
So brave, let them see your face. Hey, whoa. Yeah, that's who you are. Remember that. Not today. You don't come in here and snatch people at a parade. Not
Have any jurisdiction here.
Ah. Everybody ain't taking this nonsense. Everybody's not taking this nonsense. So here we are. We've got the police department versus ICE. So we've got them down in the train station here in New York City, snatching people off of trains because they want to take people who are on the opposite side of legal residency, and they want to lock them up. So they're snatching people off of trains. They are snatching people out of the parade that was going on at the time, and the police are protecting the residents of New York City, the people who are in New York City. Now, I told Shantice to play this video. I didn't have it queued up initially. Thank you, Shantice, for getting that done. But my point that I'm trying to make is that's where I say he was on the sidewalk. He was coming out of his building, a building. If you really wanted him, you would have taken him while he was outside. Why would you get in the car? You can't take nobody in their car. You got in the car. You now became a passenger. You got in the car. You can't get in the car and arrest somebody in the car.
Right.
Lady Tamika, you got first dibs on this video versus our conversation. Our wild story.
You know, this is an amazing thing also, because you also think about the fight, you know, of the defund the police. But in actuality, the police is looking out for us. You know, I think that was amazing that, you know, the police was like, nah, we run this. You don't run this, you know, and all of these different rules. You people have to be really, really aware with this ICE thing, because, you know, just because it's affecting somebody else, don't be so ignorant in the fact of not knowing that could be you. You know, what are they grabbing these people on? You know, he looked African, so you grabbed him. I mean, what was it that he did or said? Because if that's the case, everybody up here looks African. You know, and that's a scary thing. And the fact that the police is saying, "Oh no, you're not grabbing somebody, you know, off of a parade line, or, you know, just standing there." What are your directives that tell you to grab this person or another one? You know, that's a scary place. You know, we mentioned that months ago when ICE first started. that was a concern that we would be concerned about. Our black men,
Right.
you know, black people in general, and not even just black, brown, you know, Hispanic, Latino, anything. You know, anybody can be a target to these ICE, and I'm grateful that the nah, we got this. You just running around in mask. You know, you can't even show your face. You know, that's hard.
Right. What kind of job doesn't you don't show your face? You're not proud of what you do, so you got to cover up your face.
Right, and I'm thinking about during the pandemic when we had our faces masked, and they had this rule. Okay, you can't walk.
Right. Absolutely, you had to take down your mask when you went into the store, so the camera could catch your face and all of this kind of stuff. Yes, you're right. Shantice, this video versus or with our wild story.
You know, this is why I said I still didn't agree with, because unfortunately, with all that's been coming out that these ICE agents have been doing to violate people, because even if you feel like someone is in the wrong, meaning them, the initial job of ICE was to detain illegal migrants and take them wherever they were supposed to take them, so that they can then be deported back to wherever they came from. And then it went from that to, we just gonna start taking them and even sending them to countries they not from, to where we just picking up anybody who look like we want to detain them. So if you're an American, I hope you don't look like you're not from here, because you're getting taken up too, which is why everybody started, like Lady Tamika said, I don't care if I'm going to take out the garbage, I have my ID on me. Because you just don't know how they're going to act, to the point where they're literally committing crimes now. So again, unfortunately, because y'all are not doing what you need to do, you don't have the proper things in place. So if you really felt as the ICE agent that this is an illegal migrant, your protocol was off. You didn't even do what you were supposed to do. You didn't detain him outside of the car. You didn't call for backup. You had no backup with you. So it's like y'all just out here walking around doing what y'all want to do with this vest on that says ICE. Anybody can go buy or make that. I don't even know if you're a real ICE agent, and even the real ones are fake, because y'all just doing what y'all want to do. So again, unfortunately, you put everyone in the hostile situation and mentality. That even if I am illegal, my mind says run from you. So now, because y'all have been set to go out here and do whatever you want, now you got to where I'm so happy, because one of the first thing that came to mind is, yes, NYPD, any PD is to protect and serve. You're protecting and serving. Thank y'all for finally doing y'all job and staying on point with that, to where y'all are protecting us from these vigilantes that are out here just grabbing people up and doing whatever with them. And now you got it to where these ICE agents are people who need to be detained themselves. It's just like, what is happening? Like, you need to go back too. You ain't got no papers either. So unfortunately, they now have to where the police should be taking this time and energy to protect us from us, you know, our circle. They now have to spend time with these outsiders that are coming in as the criminals. So yeah, they're doing their job. It's like, look at how now, because how many other people on them platforms the people who's recording this are probably criminals. But because we got to spend time, because we have to spend time getting you out of our subways and off of our streets, we now got the criminals recording how we're getting the other criminals. It's just a stupid cycle of life that's going on out here.
Oh my goodness. You got some hand claps from Ketty. You have Anika who says, yes, New York, don't let them run rampant here. Hold them to their job.
Yes.
All right. We have Brian who says, well, we know Shantice would have doused that ICE agent with her peppers, with her bear spray.
Sure would have. And I would have done the same thing. We all going to the precinct. I probably would have driven up the steps. Excuse me, your man's is here. Your man's is here.
You know, it's oh boy. You know, when I came across this video Instagram. I was like, wow, okay. Somebody who can step up is stepping up, because we can't step up as residents.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We can't go rip off their mask and, see, they were able to rip off the masks. They were able to handcuff. They were able to detain. And now you give them a taste of their own medicine.
Mm-hmm.
How many times? So you have this guy you have this man who walks up to you. You minding your business, whether you're legal, whether you're illegal. You minding your business. You walking up, and he says, "Are you an immigrant?" And he says, "I'm not answering. I'm going to keep on walking." Blah blah blah. You didn't walk up to him and say, "Are you, Mark Jones?" No, you didn't say that. You didn't, So now all bets are off, because see, this is what they've become accustomed to doing.
Yep.
They've become accustomed to just snatching you up first, asking questions later, which goes back to what Shantice was saying, and what Anika said. That's not your job. That was not your job. Your job has to be done in a legal manner. And because you work for President Trump, all your legal practices have gone out the window. All of the good behavior has gone out the window. So now you walk up on somebody and you say, hey, are you legal, or are you an immigrant, or whatever the situation is? Like, I don't have to answer you. I'm just going to keep on going. Well, do you have the right to answer like that? Because you're not approaching me properly. Now you put your job into question, the way you're doing it. Like Shanti said, now you've created a hostile situation. If you walked up to me and you said, "Are you Mark Jones?" then, I may be more, prone to say yes, even if I am illegal, because I know the risks out here. I'm walking out here and I know they could snatch me up at any moment. But when you just walking up on somebody, and which is what they have been known to do, they snatch and grab. And they, for those of you who have said, they've taken a lot of residents, that was constantly in the news, where they were taking students, they were taking people who were legally here. And it didn't matter. When they took people who were born here, it didn't matter how many people stayed detained until their family was able to go and get their papers and show a birth certificate that they were from here in the United States, or that they were legally here and they weren't illegal immigrants. It's just really out of control. It is straight out of control. So now you get up in somebody's car. That makes me believe that you are not doing your job correctly. When have you ever heard somebody getting up in somebody's car? And like I said, what were you going to do when you got up in the car that you didn't do out on the street? Why would you even put yourself in that situation?
Right.
What if they had really kidnapped you? What if they had really kidnapped you? You're going to, at least out on the street, it's open. You get in somebody's car, anything goes.
Panic and hit a tree.
This is what I'm saying. You really put your own safety at risk to do what? What was you? No, you ran the risk. If Mary took off in her car, then too bad for you. Now, again, the biggest thing is between, the two people that knew one another. I told you to stop. You said, but as far as what goes on in that back seat.
But you told me to stop. Hold up. Because even that's twisted to me. If I saw somebody looking like that approaching you outside the car, and they telling you they're trying to stop you outside the car. So me and Pastor Steph, I'm in the car. I'm waiting for Pastor Steph to come out of the store. I happen to see Pastor Steph walk out the store, and some big black ninja with ice on his chest comes walking out, talking about, "Hey, you look African-American. Oh, you really African-American?" And whatever the conversation is, but I can tell there's some hostility going on. And I can tell most likely that he's trying to stop her, and she keeps going. She keeps moving. You get in the car. Then all of a sudden the back door opens. Now Now you didn't stop outside the car. Why should I now stop in the car while he in the car? If you were all that concerned about doing things the right way, why didn't you stop outside the car? Even if you motion for me, yo, get out. Make sure you hear this, or pull your phone out. Make sure you record this or something. But how are you now going to contribute to the hostile situation, then look over and get mad at me for continuing the hostile situation? Because if you're mad at me, in your eyes, I've either started this or prolonged this. But you help for it to get to another angle. Because if I see somebody trying to stop her and she just gets in, because somebody trying to stop you, you're not just casually getting in like that unless you really with the smoke, as they say in the street. So unless I'm really challenging you, like, I wish you would say something else to me, or I wish you would try to stop me from getting in this car, you're not just casually getting in, bending your head. You're getting in some type of rush.
And said, pull off.
Right. But now I'm going to sit here like, oh no, let's see what he has to say. What? No, you should have did that on the outside. Well, I could have locked the doors and let that hostile situation stay out there. I can record from inside with the windows up. So it's like everyone has to understand the role that they're playing. Because I would have got mad had I been a driver. He looked over at me talking about, why didn't you stop? Excuse you? How about I kick you and him out and let y'all continue that on the outside? And I would have finished driving off into the sunset. How about that? No, but I'm thinking that's what I said. I really believe she drove off, because as a woman, can I tell you, there's been a few times I've been followed. I've been driving and been followed. And my mind was, oh, that's all right, because we all head into the precinct. I started driving straight to the point where someone followed me till I got to the corner of my block. And instead of continuing to go straight, I turned. They turned. I turned again. They turned. I said, oh, keep turning with me, because next thing you know, we're going to be in front of the precinct. Yeah, so as a woman, your mind is, I'm going to go where I know there's going to be a bunch of people, not only a bunch of people, but a bunch of people who are supposed to do what they're supposed to do. You know, so it's like we all have to pay attention to the role that we're playing. If you were all that concerned about it, you should have stayed on the outside and made sure that was taken care of before getting in the car.
Well, you know, I have to say that's part of where my head went. My head said when he got in the car, that became dangerous for all of us. Can you really dictate what I do when I feel my life is in danger? It may have started with you, but now he didn't got brazen enough to get in his car. I'm not gonna, you telling me to pull over. I'm the driver. I don't know if I feel comfortable enough pulling over. So I think we need to also think about the frame of mind that everybody's in at this point, because right now everybody's in danger. That's just the bottom line. So it's a lot to think about. Ladies, thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. It's been real. I pray you have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Woo-wee. I tell you, we are consistently running up against dilemmas. You know, we've got I'm looking here at Vivian's stuff. Dilemmas. You know, you got the dilemmas of the nurses. You know, do we come off the picket line because we may not have any health insurance, or we need workplace safety, but because they're threatening us, do we come off, or do we just say, you know what, hey, I got to go back to work, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about Mayor Mamdani. Dilemmas. Who's going to pay this bill? Because these DoorDashers need extra money. They deserve to get an increase. Where does the expense and the responsibility, whose lap does it fall into? We're talking about dilemmas. How do we handle putting our information out there to purchase things, or because we have to conduct some other transaction and we have to put our information out on the web, and now know that now all of us have a breached identity. Now you can get to me and do all kinds of things. And this dilemma of, I'm a real ICE agent and I'm asking you to stop and I'm trying to detain you. You won't get out. You won't stop, but you get in your car. And my dilemma is, do I stay on the outside or do I go on the inside? Well, you opted to go on the inside. And now the dilemma becomes a dilemma because the two primary occupants are now pitted against one another as to what you should do versus what you shouldn't do. Oh my gosh. Every day, all day, we are presented with dilemmas. Do we make it a dilemma? And that's one of the things we talked about here. Do we really make this a dilemma, or do we have the power to create peace? What do we do? How do we make our decisions? How do we make our decisions? Everything comes back to God. Oh my gosh. Everywhere I think, it comes back to God. No matter what we go through, it comes back to God. And even sometimes doing the godly thing won't satisfy the immediate situation. Sometimes we're going to have to wait for God to work that thing out because he wants it to play out in a certain way. So if we think that as Christians, that as soon as we get in a dilemma, we're out of it, and now we all twisted because we're not out of the dilemma, then you don't know much about this journey with God, because the word of God tells us to rejoice during times of trials and tribulations because it endures perseverance. It benefits us because now we can get that perseverance going, that endurance going. We learn to be stronger people. We, in our dilemma, rejoice because God gets to shine. Woo! Woo! There we go. God gets to shine when we do what we're supposed to do. Whether it's an immediate resolution or whether it's something that we've got to wait for, at the end of the day, God gets to shine. And I gave it up when I said this Social Security breach, your number is out there and so forth and so on. And, now everybody's afraid. Oh my God. I don't understand people who are supposed to be Christians who are afraid of everything. Oh my God. Everybody has challenges. Don't misunderstand me. We all have challenges. But as the time goes on in our walk with Christ and God, we are supposed to, our faith should be increased. I have literally seen people go backwards. And I'm like, well, then what? Who are you serving? You're not serving God. Stop calling yourself a Christian. Because when you voice pay attention. When you voice all of this fear, when you voice all of this, trepidation, do you realize the enemy is hearing all of this? His little minions, and they're just all now in your business. You can't reveal everything to the enemy. People just speak in so much fear and reservation. And I'm saying, okay, well, when do you show the enemy that, you know what, I might be in this pickle right now. I might be in this jam right now. But you know what? At the end of the day, whoa, God's got me. When are we going to show the enemy that we got some fight, that we got some courage, that we got some strength? And even if it's not your very strength, but the strength that comes from God, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. We don't have that strength on our own. For those of us who you see that are bolder than others, listen, we don't get that because I believe I am who I am. No, my faith comes from what God has already done for me. And that's why I tell you, I hear this breach from the government. I'm like, oh, well, what else is new? What else is new? Because when I got the first notification that someone had tried. And that's what I said, God watches out for you because you got all these millions of people. And when I got the notification that someone had tried to file a tax return in this particular year, but they didn't think it was me. Whoa, 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 whoa. But yet you have so many other people. You have so many other people who have, the attempt was made and the attempt went through. It became successful. Now, I'm not saying that I live a special life, so, God is going to protect me, but God's not going to protect them. I don't know why God allowed some things to go through, but he protected Stephanie. And I wrote back and I said, I called, because they tell you to call, because you got to go through all of these, ways of supposedly identifying who you are. And they were like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And then I turned around the next year and I got somebody tried it again. So I don't know if it was the same person. I don't know if it's somebody new, but now I got this again. And they wrote me again and said, but we don't think it's you. And I called and we went through all of this. And then finally we're like, okay, you know what? Just come in, bring this, bring that, show this, show that, blah, blah, blah. So I went and, they said that, we would put some things into place that when a tax return was filed, I had to do certain things that ensured it was me. Because one thing about IRS, they're going to write you. That's one thing about them. They're not doing everything electronic. They're not calling you on no phone. You know why? Because they're not going to shift your address. They're going to send to the address that they have always known you to be. So that was one of the ways I was cleared, because when they sent the mail, the actual Stephanie was able to get the mail. And they said, okay, this is how we're going to handle this, where we're going to ensure that it is you when you file taxes. So what that meant was I can't file taxes the way a lot of you can, the way pretty much a whole lot of the rest of the world can, or the rest of the nation can. I can't just file electronically and just say, okay, I have to take extra steps. And that's why I said, I didn't get angry, because the Spirit of the Lord said, you know what? You may be getting some added protection that you may not even know you needed. Oh! That's my God. That says, you know what, Stephanie? I needed for there to be a breach. But instead of you getting angry, I'm going to add on some extra protection. And yes, you may have to go through some extra steps. But guess what? At the end of the day, you're going to be protected. I wasn't running around, oh my God, I can't believe I can't do nothing online. And I don't want to put information out there. I got to trust God. I have to trust God. Choice, because I've got to live. I'm only going to be 60 years old. God spares my life. I got a whole long way to go. If God wants me to be 95 when he closed my eyes, or 99 when he closed my eyes, I got a whole lot of technology and things that I'm going to have to face. And I can't run through this life always being tripped up, because the enemy has kept me lulled. He has lulled me into a life of fear. That's what we talked about yesterday. It has the enemy lulled you into being the walking dead. And if you live your life in fear, you are the walking dead. You cannot tell people about God when all you keep doing is complaining about everything. All you keep doing is, I'm scared of this, scared of that. Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. Well, get your boldness, your holy boldness. Your holy boldness, not the boldness that you get on your own, but the boldness that's supported, that's rooted in God. Get it? The only way you're going to live in peace. God says that the peace that you get, I can only give you that peace. Jesus says, the peace that I give, I can only give. I can only give. Man can't give you this. The world can't give you this. Why? Because the world will keep you stirred up and crazy. Worried about everything. Worried about everything. And you know what? Stand on what's right. Because even when you stand on what's right and you might be losing, at the end of the day, you think God is not going to reward you for standing on what's right? So we go back to the the people, the nurses. You know, some said that's wrong. You know, they shouldn't do that. And it may have been. It may have been wrong. But isn't that what we face every day? Wrong? The enemy is the prince of this world. We know God rules and Jesus is king, but the enemy has been given a certain amount of space here to operate. And God, he moves. That chessboard is always going. Ain't no checkers game. It's a chessboard. God is very strategic in what he does and how he does it and when he does what he does. But a lot of this is you. Faith without works is dead. Don't keep singing these songs or how Jesus did brought you out. Jesus brought me out on Monday and I'm scared on Tuesday. Oh, help me. Help me. Because God is just gnawing and gnawing and gnawing at us. Listen, stand up. Stand up. Stand up for Jesus. Stand up. I need my people. I need my people to stand up. I can't have my people up in the house over in a corner because they're scared to come out the room. They're scared to do this. They're scared to do that. A lot of the stuff is here. The enemy can't get in your brain, but the enemy can present all of this stuff right before you. Stop watching all the stupid news. Stop. Stop. There are people that watch news day in, day out. Stop. If you're a fearful person, the last thing you need to be doing is babysitting the news, and maybe you need to be reading your Bible a little bit more. Stop paying attention to this news as much and listen to let the Bible, walk around your house and let them read the Bible to you. You just might hear something on Tuesday. What are we paying? What is feeding? What's feeding us? What are we allowed to, what are we taking in? What are we taking in? What are we taking in? Sometimes it's better that the house is silent than for you to be playing this news and stuff all the time. If you don't find yourself getting any stronger in the Lord, but you know all the news stories, you know all the latest rap songs, you know all the hip hop songs, you know all the R&B songs, you know all the commercials, you know all the stuff that's going on in this world, but your faith level is in the toilet, then I think you need to shift gear. That's what God is saying to you today. All this stuff that Stephanie is spewing, this ain't got nothing to do with Stephanie. Because I don't walk around in no fear. Listen, it is what it is. God, you on this one, because I can't do nothing about it. I didn't went as far as I can. I'm gonna have to trust you here. I can't do no more. That's what God needs from his people. He cannot rely on the non-believers to stand up for him, because it's not built on any foundation. Because there's the parable that talks about when the ground is not what it needs to be, the foundation is not what it needs to be, and you're not who you need to be. What happens when the things go on in this world? When the stuff happens in the family, when things happen in your building, when stuff happens on your job, how are you rooted that you emerge a certain way? Because you got to be planted properly in order for you to emerge a certain way when this is going on in your life. We've got to be strong. We've got to stand strong. We've got to make sure that God can rely on us at all times. At all times. It can't be on January 1st and then not again until February 28th. And it ain't even or February 29th, and it ain't a leap year. Let's get this together. Dilemmas. What is a dilemma to you? Or what is just a situation that you have to face and resolve? And sometimes God will already arm us with things that we can get that resolution done. Plain and simple as that. Sometimes we're going to have to work to see what God has for us. Sometimes we're going to have to wait to see what God has for us. It's not going to always be instantaneous, and it's not always going to be a waiting period. But we're going to have to make sure that we are always doing the right thing. Sometimes we may not be as strong, but you got to have some kind of strength. And we're going to have to also understand that when the enemy sees you tackling heavier things, he's going to throw new things at you. So you can't take last week's strength and tackle the enemy who's bringing on something new. That's why we always got to stay working. And we always got to stay moving. And we always got to stay faithful to God, because God is faithful to us. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I will always supply your needs according to my riches. When is God ever limited? The one who owns it all, the one who has created it all, the one who has advanced it all. And let me tell you something. This same God is in this technology that is used against his. Pay attention. That new technology has been advanced by God. It is taking God to give the brain power and the ingenuity to make the technology and to push it where it's going. But what is man doing with it? And who is it being used against? God ain't out the equation at no point. He says, I'm the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. So you better believe he's on the in-between too. Because you just ain't going from the beginning to the end. You got to go through. He's there. So all this madness that's going on with the technology, he's there. But how are we going to ever learn to show who God is when we're always running? When we're always scared? When we don't want to face nothing? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? I can't do this. I can't do that. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Stop! The word of God gives us everything. There's nothing wrong with needing that extra boat, that boost, just that little push, that nudge. But when God got to literally pick you up, because even dragging you ain't getting you nowhere, we're going to have to think about this thing. We can't keep brushing that on the side. We can't keep dismissing this thing here. We've got to show who God is. So listen, here's the thing. Are you calling yourself a child of God, or is God calling you a child of God? Ooh. And it is not because of perfection. Because we will always need the Lord. We will always need God. Because if we didn't, then why would God even exist? And we could all work our way past God, and we don't need him no more. Then what? We're always going to need God for one thing or another. God is always going to help. He's always going to be in the business of helping to push us. So if I conquered this, then guess what? He's allowed me and helped me to conquer this so that I can now conquer this. He does not allow you or help you to get to this point so you can just stay here. And that's what's happening. We've gotten to the point where we've learned that we accept God as our personal, or Jesus as our personal savior, and God is the head of our life. And that's what it is. Now, Shantice always says it. Now, once we say we've accepted Christ, once we are baptized, now it starts. Now it starts. All that went on before now to get us here, that's the easy part. Because now it starts, especially if we were living hellion lives. Because see, now the enemy's mad that he don't have you no more. He's going to put you to the test. Oh, you on that side? Let's just see. That's why we got to be real careful about who we hang around. You got to be real careful of who your leader is. You can't go to no church if they're not pushing you. Then you need a leader who's going to push you. Because that's what a leader needs to do. Because a leader is pushed. Because God pushes that leader so that when he's pushing those underneath the leadership, you ain't catching up. We can't allow you to catch up. If we're on the same page at the end of the day, then what can I do for you? So listen, we have got to get on board with what God has for us. And there's a reason why we do this news every day. You know, I'm noticing since we've been live, and especially since we've been getting a lot more exposure here on YouTube, we've been getting a lot of people who are coming into the room and they're putting erroneous stuff. We've had people who come in and say this, the conversation, they will listen to the conversation, this is God, or they come in to say that has nothing to do with God. And I beg to differ. You know why? Because God has shown me that if we don't teach you how to navigate through everyday life, you're not going to be about nothing. You can't be a godly person if you don't know how to navigate through everyday life. Why? Because everyday life is what you're facing. It ain't going to always be, oh, praise the Lord, hallelujah time. It's not always going to be I'm blessed and highly favored time. When your penny is a penny and you ain't got nothing above that penny, you're not basically walking around talking about, yes, I'm blessed and highly favored. Because all you're looking at is that penny in that bank account. You are not. Even if inside, you are like, okay, God, I know you're gonna flip this penny. It's gonna be $1, and then that $1 gonna be 10, and that 10 gonna be 100, and 100 gonna be 1,000. You might be going through all of that, but guess what? Externally, it's not going to be even that. And all of that, I'm blessed and highly favored. A lot of times, people are really going through some things, and they gotta just feel like they gotta speak their way through this thing here. And there are others who are so busy over in the corner crying and whining and making the worst moves they could make because they didn't work this thing out in their head. And God is not getting any shine here. Everything we do is for the glory of God. Everything we do. Once we declare that God is the head of our life, everything we do needs to acknowledge God and show who God is. Everything. How you the one that's in God and everybody else you know ain't God, but yet you tell everybody your woes? Those are people you sharing your woes with. We have become so deficient that the sinners are taking care of us. I'm sorry, that ain't God's plan. How do you know, Pastor Steph? Because I'm looking at the Bible that says, look at your Deuteronomy 28. There are blessings for those of us who honor God, and there are curses for those of us who don't pay attention to God. So how have you allowed this reversal to take place in your life, where the sinners are taking care of us? How does that even work? Because the word of God says that as long as we are doing what God says, we are the lender, not the borrower, but you always borrowing. Now, we're not talking about a time. Let me make sure you understand that I understand how this thing called life works. There will be times where we will drop, and then we have to be built up. And yes, God sent the ravens to feed Elijah. However, you are not going to be that way across the board. You're not going to be that way across the board. And most times, it's happening because we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We don't have the confidence to do what we're supposed to do. We're too busy living in fear that we don't do what we need to do. And now we are eating that consequence much longer than that little small period of time was supposed to be. We've now pushed it, instead of it being 4-5 months, now we done pushed it to 4-5 years. And now always showing the non-believers is that I got and you don't. And can I tell you something? Do you know how many times that comment has been made to me? Do you know how many times that comment has been made to me? And I say to myself, and look at God. Look at how God is displayed here. How can you possibly now go back, whoever that somebody is, and say, well, God is good. But you always looking at me or something. How good is your God? That's why people don't feel like they need God. Because look at how deficient we Christian people are in the eyes of man. Where most people are not serving God at all. Most people are not going to church. But boy, they living it up and you over in the corner. Because you won't do nothing. Because everything scares you. Because you shaking and shivering over everything. Yes, we've got to. This is why it is so important that we do what we need to do so that God can build us up. And he can put us up on that pedestal and say, look what I've done. He says, I've taken a whole lot away from man so that man does not take credit for what I do. Because he knows that if it were left to people, they would need God because God don't do nothing for you. God don't exist. How great is this God that you walking with your mouth hanging out your head because you hungry, you penniless, you can't do this, you can't do that. Everything you are being taken care of from every raven you know. You're begging and borrowing, and that's not. I don't care what anyone says. I am reading a Bible that is speaking against all of this. And listen to me. This is not to chastise you. God is saying, I'm not chastising you right now. Not here. I don't know what you're doing after this is over. He says, right now, I need you to become aware. I need you to think. I need you to go into this differently. I need you to assess your life. Because other people are assessing you. So I need you to assess your life. I need you to come to me and I need you to listen to me. I don't need you to come to me, but yet you are doing your own stuff. I need you to come to me, get that assessment. Let me show you your life. I'm going to send those who need to speak to you. Because see, there's a separation here. You're not listening to me. So maybe you'll listen to somebody you're looking at. And now you can look and see like, wow, am I really trusting God? Am I really holding on when I should be holding on? Am I letting go when I should be letting go? Am I somewhere in between because I'm so confused and, I'm doing this and I'm doing that? What am I really showing people? How great God is. I can't keep saying God is great, but my life is not reflecting how great God is. Yes, we will struggle. We will struggle. We will all struggle with, every one of us will struggle with something. But the greater part of our life has to show who God is. We can't let people see the struggle and the greatness is this big. It needs to be reversed. Where they could say, you know what? They got a little struggle going on, but you know what? They doing all right. Even if they don't say it's God. But when you're now preaching to them, when you're now giving people your testimony, now when you're talking about God to people, they're drawn in. Because they're looking and saying, well, that life is depicting exactly what he or she is talking about. Can they say that about you? Can they say that your dilemmas are weighing you down so much that God is not being displayed in your life at all? Can people really look at your life and say, I'm a Christian? Because as much as we may not think it's important, it is important. Why? How do you know, Pastor Steph? Because the word of God says, let Jesus's light show in you so that the world may see. Oh, trust me, I got a scripture for everything I say. I don't come to you baseless. That confidence is only confidence because I've read it. And even if it doesn't say it exactly, don't use drugs. There are scriptures that I can show you that the Lord does not intend for us to tear our body up using drugs. But I got something. I have something that shows you everything that I'm saying to you today. Don't let your situations become dilemmas, because you will always have situations. Every day, in and out, we'll have situations. We'll have things that come up, whether we are a part of it or if it has come from a domino effect of something else that we have nothing to do with. No matter how much you didn't train your child to, be responsible, they're not responsible, and now that comes floating into your pocket. Happens all the time as parent. Happens all the time. We're successful. We teach our children to be successful, and they out there all twisted. Mommy, mom, pop, I just need to borrow a couple dollars. And they know you got a good job. It's like, yo, I taught you how to balance. I even said, come over here, I'll help you. But because you got to fall on your face, your situation becomes a dilemma. Because we'll all have situations. That will never change. We'll all go through trials, whether we have brought the trial on ourselves or whether the trial we've been allowed to walk into that trial, because God has a bigger plan for our life to grow us. You grow by faith, or you grow from faith, because the last issue, God showed himself, and now you standing on that. So you here, and now something else comes up, and now because you stood here. A lot of that comes from confidence. A lot of that comes from, I'm going to try God. I don't know where we're going to end up, but I'm going to try God. Are you really trying God? Or are you trying you? So in other words, are you really doing what God wants you to do? Are you looking at the results of what oh my gosh, are you looking at the results of what you're doing? How many times people say, oh, I know I'm doing right. I know. And I'm like, but look at the results. Yo, stop. And listen, there are going to be times, I'll never forget, my mother looking and saying, Stephanie, why are you doing that when this is going on? And I had to say to her, I said, listen, I know what it looks like, but God has told me. This ain't no feeling going on. It's not because I'm looking at one spot and I'm like, oh, that's the shining light, and I know. No, I was like, God told me to do this. And that's why I'm sitting in this spot. In this spot. When I literally say in this spot, I mean where this chair is sitting. In this room I'm sitting is from trusting God. It's from doing what he said. That it ain't nothing what it looks like. Because what she was saying was not wrong. What she was saying it made every bit of sense. But if I said that I was going to trust God with my life and my situation, and I prayed on it, there's not going to be no gray area. Let me tell you that. When you're in these dilemmas, it ain't going to be no gray area. When you're in a situation, it ain't going to be no gray area. I prayed about something huge, and that was back in 2009. I'll never forget. I prayed, and I remember where I was when I was praying. I remember the position I was in when I was praying, and I remember what I said. And one of the things I said to God was, God, all right, listen, I need your answer to be black or white. I don't need no gray answer. Please do not give me the gray paint. I don't need no gray areas. And shortly thereafter, God answered. And here's the funny part. He didn't say no, and he didn't say yes. But the answer he gave was actually a no. He didn't come out and say no. But because of where I was in Christ, because of my faith level, because I knew how to read and hear God, I'm sitting in this seat, in this room, right now, talking to you. I specifically said, okay, listen, God, this is big here. And I know what it looks like. And I know this thing could go either way. But please just say yes or no. I don't have no time to be working it out and figuring you out. And he came back. And he did exactly what I asked him to do. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. But the answer he gave was a resounding no. And because I listened and my relationship with God, that was not no, oh, what am I going to do? I'm sitting in this seat talking to you right now. In this very spot, talking to you right now. Right now. That's because I did not allow the situation to become a dilemma. And I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging by far because I was nowhere near then where I am now. That Stephanie could not talk to you the way this Stephanie is talking to you each day. I was not there back then. But I had made sure that I had said, if I'm gonna be with God, I'm gonna be with God. I can't be, but I was never a fearful person. So that was something that was used to the benefit of my Christian walk, because I was never the type that was fearful. I was always very goal oriented, and I was a risk taker. I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this risk, but I wasn't illogical. I wasn't a risk taker like my youngest daughter, who has this crazy level of faith in God from when she was a kid. I wasn't that. That wasn't me. But I was very strategic when I did take the risk. Always very strategic. Always looking at the complete picture. I never zoned in on one thing and, okay, that was going to be the world, because I understood the risk of, if that's wrong, then I'm going down. So I give God thanks for who he has made me to be. That's my testimony. You have your own. You have your own. You have your own, and God needs that testimony. He needs that testimony to push lives. That's why I am where I am now, because he used those things to enhance who I was in him. Not just to enhance Stephanie, but to enhance and now become Pastor Steph. The Pastor Steph that can speak to you. Yo, get it together. Pastor Steph. How can he use you? Is he going to use your situation to bless other lives? Or are you going to allow that situation to become a dilemma? And now you going down, everybody else around you going down. Because you shine no light in all of your chaos. In all of your doubt in God, you can't help to build anything. Every word you say falls dead. May not feel that way, may not sound that way, but you ain't building up nobody. The word of God said that we are to go out and disciple. How can you get that done when your confidence level is in the toilet? When every move you make is questionable? When everything you do have no great results? And everybody's looking at you going, well, what in the world is happening here? Is that you? If that's you, then that's a problem. Let's get this together and we can go on this journey together. We can go on this journey together. I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Why do you think I'm here? I'm here with you. You're not alone. And let me tell you something, whether it was Pastor Steph or someone else, God has got your support system there. But be careful of how you rely on them to be the support system. Because we all need some level of support. We all need somebody that we can call, that we can hear from, that is giving us a word from God. It is not just them. Some people will give you, a good word of advice because they've been through some things, and God is using them to help you. But you've got situations where people are telling you and advising you. How are you asking for advice, but you never taking the advice? What is that? Oh, God told me to call you. And yet 5 years later, you looking around and you're like, well, what happened? How come you're not doing any better? Now, I'm sorry from the advice that I gave and that advice that I took. But you ain't moved. Yo, this thing ain't no rocket science tree. Trust me when I tell you. If all you see are the results of nothing, your results are nothing, then you ain't got no choice but to try God, because trying God ain't gonna get you no worse results than you got now. You need to just utilize what God has given and make it work. Make it work, because everything that God gives you will work. So why I say make it work is not because it doesn't have the potential to work and now you got to make it work like that. But how many times have people said that they're using God's tools, but you're falling dead? That's because it's not really God that you're using. Whatever God is giving you, you've got to take the wisdom of God and utilize that wisdom to make God's things work. Because he's already given you the knowledge. Now the wisdom is what you do with the knowledge. How you gonna make this work? God gives you $1 million. Why do you think sometimes people will hit the lotto and they broke? That's because what they got, they didn't use it properly. They didn't make it work for them. So I'm not saying that's God, but what I'm saying is I'm using it as an example. That's the same thing. God gives us $1 million. Whether it's in property or family or a job, it could be $1 million of something, anything. But yet when we get it in our hands, how have poor people become rich, but the rich can't stay rich? Oh, are you paying attention? You've had people who start from nothing and it has amassed to, greatness. And you've got people who get $1 million in their hand, and in the year they broke, busted, and poor. What are we doing? That's God. That's how we do God. God does everything for us, and yet we can't utilize it properly. So we end up broke, busted, and poor. We end up the walking dead. We here, but we're the walking dead. Is that where you want to be? No, I'm sure the answer is a resounding no. But that means that we've got to do things the right way. And I got to tell you, it ain't that hard to do it the right way. Excuse me, it's not. This whole thing is, there's no manual. Oh, yeah, there is. There's not a manual. Oh, yeah, there is. It's called the Bible. And the Bible will never steer you wrong. The Bible will never steer you wrong. You cannot work and weave your way in and out the Bible. You can't do things, on this for this verse, and then when it comes to this verse, you can't pay it no mind. You can't testify to this parable, but this parable, it just won't work for you. You've got to take that one book and you've got to utilize from Genesis all the way to Revelation. Make it work for you. You will not go wrong. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the ladies, for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us keep that chat room alive and helping us do what we do. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity that if you have given your life to the Lord, strengthen that relationship with Him right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, we will be on live with My 2 Cents. We will be reviewing another 2 episodes in season 1, episodes 3 and 4 of Mayor of Kingstown on Paramount. We will be reviewing 0 Day, the last 3 episodes in that season. It's a 1 season. And join us. We got one more movie that we will be reviewing. And if you give me a half a second, I will let you know which one that is. Here we go. One battle after another. Okay. So make sure you check out, My 2 Cents tomorrow night, God spares, at 7:30 right here. I'm still stuck in my closing. 7:30 right here on Facebook Live, Coach for Christian Life, or YouTube Live, A Closer Walk Christian Media Network. If I don't see you then, I hope to see you tomorrow, God spares, for Therapeutic Thursday. Until then, I love you.